is derived from the leaves of the coca plant. When cocaine enters the body, it has a strong effect on body functions by acting as an irritant on the brain. Large overdose of cocaine causes convulsions, then death. Cocaine causes unusual and often unpredictable feelings and actions. In his ignorance, Marty took that dare, little knowing the eventual horror that lay in the deadly white powder.
Marty, have you seen the painting shears I bought last week? Can't seem to find them anywhere. Marty, you don't seem right. I'm worried about you. There's something wrong. I'm going to take you down to Dr. Peters this afternoon for a checkup.
No, I'm all right.
As his body gradually built up intolerance, he needed more and more of the drug.
I don't know. I hope that the music here doesn't sound like that to you guys. I better listen to the replay. Jeez, it was sounding pretty bad there, Mike.
Was it?
Yes. Okay, it's been a minute. I definitely just kind of blew off last week. Not on purpose initially, but when I realized that I hadn't lined up, solidified something, I was like, you know what, though? It's okay. One week. I've been running this now over a year. I could miss 1 week.
Some damn grace.
I wanted to be present. I went to a really cool live show.
Right.
Band Twin Citizens, shout out. 4 of their members are in recovery. Nice. So I had to go. It was like the perfect mix. I used to be a show fanatic. Like my addiction was live shows. I would go by myself and all that. Okay. And so it was finding this band, and they play actually really great music too. Now I've gone to a couple shows. I won't name shows. And, it's been a while. But it was like I questioned, God, I don't know if it was worth getting a babysitter and like parking and coming here. So, but this last show, last Sunday, was amazing. Twin Citizens, they got another one coming up. I think I'm going to go. I'm going to turn into like one of those groupies, but not really at all, but just
groupie.
A fan.
Yeah. Right.
Supporting our community. Okay, let me take off the banner. Okay, welcome everybody. This is Bridge Sky K.I.S.S Recovery, Sundays live, 8 p.m., live for a reason. So, especially if you're new listening, I'm going to activate those comments. I did get a notification. Facebook is having issues. So their issues now is my issues, maybe. So if you are listening, please comment. The point of live is I want you to interact, ask questions, give me your viewpoints, and keep it running. If you aren't able to interact, and I'm guessing if Facebook's having a problem, nobody's listening, hopefully they jump over to YouTube. Yeah. That's my jam anyway. Yeah. YouTube's just awesome. They don't have the glitches anyways. Okay, so tonight, special edition, monthly edition. That's why I have male co-host. You want to introduce yourself, male co-host?
Yeah. Hey, I'm Mike. I'm an alcoholic. I'm an addict, and I'm happy to be here.
And we're doing it. We're versus each other here. Just kidding. Half kidding, though, because there definitely is two sides. And female perspective is definitely different, especially when it comes to each of these steps. And that's why I speak from tonight. I'll be speaking from A Woman's Way through the 12 steps. Stephanie Covington. She's going to be coming to Minnesota.
Really?
Yes. Well, okay, you had the option of two, you could pay for one of her presentation, like a whole day of awesomeness. I initially was like, oh man, I wish I could go. It's hundreds of dollars, but she's awesome because it turns out there's an extra day that is free for us broke folks, and I'm actually hoping to maybe meet her.
Yeah.
Ever signed my book?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I'm so old school.
Super fan.
But oh my gosh, yes.
Right.
And what's great about her, I don't know when this book was written. I could probably look it up, but I'm not going to. It just distracts me. I know that I did attend one of her webinars recently through Hazelden, and she is so up to date with the stuffs. A lot of people write books and do this program, and then they just kind of stay in it. It works for them, and that's all they need to do, right? But what I love about Stephanie is she's very much like me, and she's kept up with it. And so this webinar was on trauma-informed, getting trauma-informed and bring that into the treatment centers, especially like Hazelden, so making sure, because that is huge. I would say 99% of us in recovery. I said 99%, okay? So 1% of y'all there is like, not me. That's you. I'm talking to you.
There are exceptions.
Definitely trauma, whether it's a little t trauma or a big trauma, or you don't even know about it. Dr. Gabor talks about you might not even know you had some trauma or how it impacted you. So, okay, let's read the post. Step 5, one of my favorite steps. Here's a funny thing. For years, Mike, I'd be like, I'm so nervous about step 4. Well, really, I didn't understand that. It's actually step 5 is the one that you actually have to tell somebody about shit. Yeah. 4 wasn't so bad, because I list all this stuff out. And I mean, it wasn't pleasant at first. And, I did it multiple times. It wasn't until 5 I'm like, oh, shoot, this is the part where somebody else is going to know my business. Yep. Man, so it's step 5. Even still working with new sponsees, they're like, I'm really nervous about doing 4. And I'm like, well, 5's the one that you're going to be with me. And we're going to go over it. I don't know what you don't have to show. Right. It's on 4. Okay. So, but again, what's different and what I like about this year is we're going through the steps via the women's way, and you have your men's way book. Who's the author again?
Dan Griffin.
Dan Griffin. So it's nice to have both sides. And again, a Facebook user. Martin from Wyoming listening. Hey, Martin. Good. So Facebook is working. Fantastic. Thank you for joining us, Martin. Thank you for interacting.
Hi.
Maybe you started that. Okay,
Yeah,
everybody.
yeah.
Don't be shy. Okay, so tonight, we're going to keep it to an hour. I'm going to be consistent on that.
We'll try.
We're going to do it. I got the
All right.
alarms.
Okay. Well,
Okay? And no clips. Definitely still going to do the sound effects. We don't do the hot seat because it's a special edition. We don't need to do the hot seat.
Right. Yeah.
And
It's already pretty hot.
yeah, but we might jump into the workbook that comes along with this book. I do have something. And then also end it with the memes. So keep it to an hour, but we're going to dig right into it. So step 5, admitted to another human being our wrongs. Wait, why? Telling the full truth and nothing but the truth seems impossible in recovery. If past betrayals have proven this step, it can be one of the heaviest. But what if you aren't honest with yourself? Okay, I didn't even realize I was in denial for a long time, Mike. I didn't even realize I wasn't being honest with myself. Then what? It's important to keep it simple. And we're going to discuss how, which I capitalized because of the acronym, how. Honesty, open-minded, and willingness. But that's not just easy. And again, I was trying to be honest, open, and willing, and I didn't realize for a long time, really the only thing I was good at was being willing. Willing, once I surrendered, But I thought I was open. I thought I was honest. And I didn't even realize that I was so, guarded that I wasn't even being honest with myself. So that's the reality. It's sucky. So do you want to kick us off, Mike? Why don't you, if you don't mind sharing, how was your experience or experiences with step 5 yourself? How did that go about you doing your step 5? Tell me about it, please.
Yeah, so my first step 5 was pretty early on in recovery, and the thing is, I look at it back at it now, and I feel like there was a whole lot of freedom gained in that. Absolutely, I was intimidated, though. I was terrified, and the thing is, too, in doing that 4th step prior, I figured out a bunch of shit that was traumatic that I didn't even recognize as being traumatic, until you put it on paper and start looking at it. the funny thing for me too, and it was just such a revelation, is that like I didn't want to tell my sponsor, I don't want to tell anybody this stuff, right? But they do put right in the steps that it's, you know, admitted to God, to ourselves, and to another human being too, right? So putting it out there. But I went through the whole thing with my sponsor, and I was thorough. You know, I laid it all out there. We were sitting out on his patio, and I was terrified to look up from my little notebook after I got done, because I'm like, he's just gonna be appalled. Like,
Do you
this
remember
guy.
how long it was?
It was probably a good hour or so, hour and a half, something like that. Yeah, I mean, I had several pages written down because I got into it. You know, I had all the desperation of a drowning man, absolutely, when I was down there. I wanted to get some work done, but it was kind of funny because it was like one of those things, you know, like, and it talks about in this book too with guys, and we're supposed to be stoic, right? You know, like we don't need to share any of our feelings ever, you know, and this and that, or how we, you know, our part in things, you know, we're not to blame, it's blah blah blah. But no, when I looked up, and I was terrified, thinking that my sponsor probably had just ran away. He probably wasn't even sitting there anymore, you know. And no, he just sitting there with the pleasant little grin, you know, like, yeah, yeah. And there was like that you know, acceptance of another man, you know, actually sharing this ugliness that I had inside of me. And you know, they say we're only as sick as our secrets and things like that. And being able to put that out and tell another guy, and actually, like, they talk about, like, it's you know, most of the time guys' definition of intimacy is like a physical thing, right? And you think about in relationships and intimacy, but the thing is to actually be able to intimately share those kind of details with another guy, and to find that trust and start to realize, like, holy shit, I can trust other people, other men even, you know, like it was really a thing. And for me too, he definitely made sure, you know, it talks about in the book right after you do your fifth step, to find, you know, like an hour of time to reflect upon what you've done and find a quiet place. And he highly encouraged that, you know. And I was in treatment at the time, but I did manage to kind of find a little quiet spot in a TV room we had somewhere. And to be honest, you know, like, everybody's experience is different. For me, there was a physiological change there when I got quiet, and I looked at, yeah, yep. I think that was the first, you know, spiritual experience I had as a result of doing these steps, because it was, I get goosebumps right now just thinking about it. But it was kind of like, I could almost picture myself like sitting on the couch, but I was almost like looking at myself, you know, like I was almost out of body kind of thing, you know. And right. And I mean, I don't mean to put that out there, and a lot of people don't like to talk about their spiritual experiences, because a lot of people like to do comparators in here and say, well, mine wasn't that, or but you know, in reality, it was such a freeing thing for me, because there was things that I found when I was doing that inventory, especially the fear inventory part of it. I had no idea, you know. I'm not afraid of anything. I started digging into that stuff. Damn, I was afraid of a lot of stuff, right? I mean, so much fear-based decision making and whatnot was it was all a part of it, right? But yeah, that fifth step was, I mean, it was, like I said, it was such a freedom. It's the second time we have to admit, right? In the steps, the second time they use the admit word there, and you know, giving it to God and to another human being. It was where freedom started for me. It's where things really started to change, where I was seeing, hey, maybe this program might actually work, you know. And yeah, it was huge. It definitely was. All right, we're gonna keep going, because we can see what else we can figure out now, you know. Like, I feel like it was the first start of freedom, and it was digging into awareness as well too, right? Because I had to look at my own part and stuff like that, and I never bothered to do that before.
Yes. That's beautiful, Mike. And honestly, I think it's important. So I love back to basics. Really, that's really how I finally got through all 12 steps. So I have to go back to this point, because I remember for a long time I was trying to read the book, go to meetings, but do the steps myself, right? And so that's why I hated 5, because I'm like, I told my higher power, okay? I wrote it all out thoroughly, so as much as I could, you know. Why do I gotta say it to another human being?
Right.
That's silly. I don't need to do that.
Right.
And so I wouldn't, you know. I did it thoroughly. My higher power knows, like, why does some, you know, at that point, I had nobody I trusted, and I really lost faith in any humanity or human beings. And so I would skip over that part, right? Okay. So looking back, I could see why I didn't get that freedom, you know, because it was such a relief. You're right. Being able to tell another human being out loud these things that I had in my mind, my heart, and definitely in my body. That's trauma in my body. So saying that to somebody, which I ended up getting so excited. Multiple people. I told my therapist part of it on accident, kind of, and then the rest of it. And it was just almost like it was such a relief, and it was such a how would I describe it? It was definitely, I overthought. I thought it was going to be, I was in my head making. So when it was so not easy, but when it was so not what I thought it was, and I had held back for so long, once I got that completely out of my system, I wanted more. Like, and that's why I love going through these steps over and over, because seriously, and especially it's important to go through it multiple times if you can, if you're able to, because there's so many things. I was in my addictions for so long, so many things I forgot, so many things so buried, that it's wonderful working with the sponsees, because when they're speaking on theirs, it helps me to remember mine, and maybe remember some stuff I didn't remember that I needed to get out. So, but one thing that's really, so I'm going to answer that question for you all right now. Thank you, Wally P. Back to basics. Okay, so step 5 is admitted to our higher power, to ourselves, and to another human being the exact nature of our wrongs. So this step helps ease the pain and suffering associated with hiding the worst of ourselves. Okay, so the best reason first, if we skip this vital step, or like myself, don't do it exactly how it's supposed to be, okay? We may not actually overcome drinking or using. Time after time, newcomers have tried to keep to themselves certain facts about their lives. Trying to avoid this humbling experience, they have turned to easier methods. Almost invariably, they got drunk. That's right out of the big book.
Yeah, it's in here too.
So what's great is Wally says we share our liabilities because we are great at self-deception. Aren't we the ones who used to say we didn't have a problem? Didn't we tell ourselves over and over that we were doing fine as we were sinking deeper and deeper into the abyss of the isms? So the person or persons with whom we share these liabilities, it helps. We must be entirely honest with somebody if we expect to live long or happy in this world, rightly and naturally. We think well before we choose that person. So that's also key. Okay? So, okay, but don't you love that? Because he just lays it out. Like, I definitely, when he said that, when it's written in the Back to Basics book, wasn't I the biggest self-deceptor? Absolutely. Oh, yeah. Right. And still to this day, I notice that I will go to this, well, I call it justifying shit. So if I'm not sitting right with something, maybe I procrastinate on some stuff, or, it could be anything that pops up every day. Right. Immediately, my brain wants to excuse myself.
That's what we do for years, right?
Right? And I only will catch it if I know that it's negative. I feel icky about it, okay? I'm not feeling good about it. I'm like, okay, wait, hold up. Here we go again. That awareness, catching myself. So, but into the women's way. Oh, I bet you got your book open. Yeah. Ooh, Martin says, being 200% rigorously honest is so freeing at step 5. Your backpack of shit is suddenly empty. Truly refreshing. This is true. And it is. It's like literally freeing. And what's wonderful, one time, I've read Drop the Rock, okay? So I literally made one of my spotsies. I didn't make her. I did suggest one of my spotsies to actually start, because she just kept procrastinating on it. And I know for myself, that's when I really started to get more and more stressed out, because I knew I had all this stuff that I needed to get out, but I was pushing it up. Well, it started, so this Drop the Rock inspired me to have her literally carry around rocks. The people's on that 4-step list, the people and institutions and principles, all those things, because she had like 30 of them. This is a lot. So I thought this would be a perfect time to try this. So I went and got all the rocks and wrote. Yeah. But literally, so it was nice when she was like, all right, I'm going to carry this around. Just at least when she would come meet with me, I would make her carry around all day. But it was literally like, especially like making a point to pick out the bigger rocks for those bigger ones, right? So as you're freeing, it's freeing to physically, tangibly feel that. So go ahead, you read from your little book there, Mike.
I was going to say, this is just perfect to what we were talking about too. So it says in this book here too, it's in step 5, you free yourself of the burdens you carry, that which weighs you down as you walk through the world each day, right? That's exactly what we were talking about. Drop the rock, the analogy, like carrying a backpack full of rocks, which are resentments, right? And it's going to weigh you down all the time, just wear you out, and you got to get rid of those. And like, goes further on, the confessions of step 5 is based on the belief that when you reveal yourself completely to another person, something profound happens to you as a result. When you confess your resentments, fears, and sex inventory, this may be the first time that you share some of these most painful, embarrassing, and difficult events, times, and mistakes of your life. Right? And it talks about only as sick as your secrets. I love what you were saying, too, and you were saying you didn't want to tell anybody about it. There was one that hit me. There's this guy named Tony D down in California, and people hated him, especially people that weren't serious about it, because he was serious. Like, he was very no bullshit about it. He wouldn't mess around with people if they weren't listening in his little groups. He'd just send them out, you know, like he just didn't have, he just didn't have time for them. And this popped up, and I was laughing earlier when I was reading this, and he said, a popular saying in the 12-step community tells us if you're sponsoring yourself, you're being sponsored by an idiot. And he would say that all the time, and people would get so mad, and I would always laugh, because I'm like, yeah, I mean, I'm in treatment for the second time. My life is just falling apart. Like, I can't even pretend like I know what the hell I'm doing at this point, you know? I got to just embrace the fact that, like, I'm doing my best here, and it's not good enough, and it just keeps getting worse, you know? So, yeah, I was laughing about that, and says this language is strong for a reason. We must interpret the tendency that we have to isolate ourselves and to try to solve everything on our own. All right?
Okay, so let's bring in that female perspective. So I'm the female, and there's the alarm. We are interacting. Here's the thing. I'm a retired perfectionist, okay? So when I heard thoroughly, I'm like, I'm going to do this thoroughly. Well, that almost killed me a couple times, Mike, because I get so thorough about it without, you know, having that support and having that connection, having a frickin' plan, okay, that it would really bring me into a dark place. And the only thing I knew at that time to escape those dark, sad, terrible feelings was to use. So it was a cycle. Steps 1, 2, 3, a little bit of 4, whoop, right back to 1. It was not fun. But I'm going to read out of the Women's Way. So what's crucial is this book saved my life because it said thoroughly, well, and it's a combination of Back to Basics too, because like they also reiterated that get through them, okay? Right. Fuck thoroughly, sorry. This is do thoroughly with what you can handle right now, okay? Right. But you should not be sitting here, especially sitting on days, weeks, no way. Get through it because just getting to this step 5 and getting a little bit of that baggage off makes all the difference. And it doesn't seem so scary the second, third, fourth, 20th time around. That's where I'm at right now. Yep. Okay, so if you're reading Women's Way through the 12 steps, page 82, I love this little part. It starts with feelings of dread, unworthiness, or humiliation. But the 5th step is different because at the 5th step, we go deeper to uncover and remember, often deeper than we've ever gone before. It's possible that even our closest friends and longtime therapists don't know our mostly guarded secrets. To maintain relationships, we may have felt we needed to keep certain facts and feelings hidden. Many of us had hidden these secrets from ourselves and discovered them only when we wrote an inventory. For women who grew up in families that hid secrets from the world, telling the truth may be terrifying. We often experience a childlike panic when we get ready to tell all. We're certain something terrible will happen, but we're not quite sure what. Sometimes when we try to describe incidents of abuse in our 5th step, we become so anxious that we cannot even speak. Ooh, this makes me want to cry. If telling your truth brings up this kind of terror, try to remember yourself, that you're no longer in danger. You can say anything in your 5th step and still be safe. When you walk through your fear, you create the possibility of experiencing relief and compassion. Maybe you're reluctant to do a 5th step because you don't think you deserve this kind of attention from another person. Women sometimes feel as if they're being self-centered if they ask for anything for themselves. But to continue in your recovery, you have to ask others to listen to you, to give you time and attention to hear your story. We show love and respect for ourselves when we ask others to hear our 5th step. We tell ourselves we are important. When we assume we are worth others' time and attention. Even if we don't really believe we're worth it, we can pretend, we can ask someone to hear our 5th step anyway. So all of that really rings true to me because at the end of the day, Mike, I felt so unworthy of any kind of forgiveness. I felt like I don't want to put my shit on anybody else, and I don't even deserve forgiveness. And I grew up in a house of secrets. I got punished a lot. And I had to keep secrets or I'd be punished or I'd lose my brother or I'd go back to foster care. Like, it was like constant. So I lived, the secrets for me, it was like a way of life. And I remember in reality, when I really started to accept this program and really started to really try to work on myself, I remember thinking, now at 38 years old, not one person in my life knows me completely. Each friend that I had, or even people in the program, my therapist, only knew they knew dark shit about me, but only parts. At that point, had never told everybody everything. It's a lot, Mike. It's a lot. So, but I loved that this whole part in the women's way really, for me, kind of like gave me validation that I was, because I'd hear from men. A lot of the meetings I went to were men, and they would say, "Oh, it's my ego," or it's pride, or it wasn't any of those things. It was the opposite. I felt so reserved because, again, that's how I grew up. And when you're threatening me and telling me I have to do things, it completely makes me want to go hide under a rock. So when I had a loving sponsor and women's meetings and this book, and there's good men out there too, let me tell you, Mike, you're one of them, that I could really finally just not have to protect myself all the time. It was such a awakening. Yes, I would say spiritual experience, There was no big awakening. It was just multiple experiences that alluded to this, like when I say I surrendered, that was more just like this experience. But when I really started, I did all the steps, and I truly started doing step 12, not just service, but doing and going through the steps with other people. That's when the full program comes to. So when anybody's ever like AA or, the 12 steps NA didn't work for me, have you sponsored? Have you gone through all the steps with sponsees? Because until you've made that full cycle, anyway, for me, until I made that full cycle, it didn't really, it's my way of life now. Okay, sorry, I was just hogging it. Go ahead.
No, I love that. I love feeling the feels. Absolutely, that's awesome, Bridge. And I totally get that too. And I love the word valid, right? Because it's in this book too. It talks about that as well. And it's like the thing is when you get to share that shit that you weren't going to share with anybody ever, that nobody knew you the way you knew you, right? Sick is our secrets, right? But the thing is, like, it talks about that in the book too. When you share that with another person, you go through all that stuff, and then you look at that person, and they're looking at you in the eyes with acceptance and love in their heart. That's the first time that I felt unconditional love, outside of my little family group or whatever, But like, it really gave me the opportunity like you said, it validated my feelings, and it validated me as a whole. I mean, that's the thing. I hate I had a whole lot of, validation through external things that I relied on, but most of that was very superficial stuff, right? When I was using and I knew that I had a lot of toxic garbage inside of me, right? So I would look for these easy little validations and you still see that a lot right now, and it drives me crazy. It breaks my heart for some people that if they seek only these external validations, through filtered pictures and things like that, and whatnot, I just wish that they could get to that person where they're doing their fifth step and there's somebody that's sitting across the table from them and heard all of that stuff, all of that ugliness that somebody just bared their soul to them, and then there's another person sitting right there saying, I see you, I hear you, I'm still here. Like it's such a beautiful thing with that. And I mean, just giving me goosebumps again, but it absolutely is, right? Like that fifth step and the fourth step, obviously terrifying. You're putting that stuff down. Like, I didn't want to write it down because I was terrified that somebody might find it. What if somebody like sells me out, or like what if like nobody cares that much about me that they're gonna bother to go make public my inventory, but of course, like, it's mine.
What happens though?
Well, right. And the thing is, like you're saying too, though, I mean, I held on to mine for 35 years before I was going to share any of that with anybody, some of that stuff, and so much of it sits in there, and it beats up that self-worth too, like maybe I deserved this, right? Like nobody's going to understand, or if I tell people about this, they're going to, they're never going to talk to me again or whatever. Like, there's so much of that fear-based decision making that goes into that too, right? And it's hard to fight that. But there again, that's a huge first step towards that freedom to be able to, not only look other people in the eyes and start actually getting genuine connection and finding that love for yourself as well. But it's the freedom to be able to just look life in the eyes overall, or you get to start keeping that chin up, the head isn't so heavy and there isn't, start to get rid of all that shame, like unload all that stuff.
Oh, yes, you just nailed all that. Just all that you just said. Just nailed it.
Getting the feels tonight.
And let's talk about shame. So, Brene Brown, and I've shared this clip before, so I'll go and post it again in the comments, but there's this great clip on YouTube about Brene sits down with Oprah, another favorite female of mine. But it's crucial, okay? So she's talking about there are 6 key people you do not share your shame story with, okay? And that for me, step 5, okay? There's a lot of shame sharing that stuff. It is important that you do not share your shame story with these 6 type of people, okay? And as they read through the list, I mean, oh my gosh, Mike, I was like, definitely had a bunch of friends, quote unquote friends, that I would share things, but in the back of my mind, I kind of had that energy. Like I had this second thought, like, oh, maybe I revealed a little too much. She won't say nothing, Right. And where I'm at right now, thanks to step 5, is because I'm going to chime off of what you just said. I literally, before, true step 5, I thought I was taking a lot of this shit to my grave. That was my plan. There we go. That's the hot seat alarm, which means we could tap into the workbook. But I am so walking on this just open book mentality, recovery out loud, because I find that, Mike, because my story, I mean, it's such a 180. I thought, I would never tell anybody. Now I tell everybody everything. For real. Too much. I gauge my room. But be careful what you ask, because I might just tell you all very uncomfortable shit for you. It's not comfortable for me anymore. I mean, it makes me uncomfortable when I see your face, and I'm like, oh, shoot, there it went again. But I get these things out. I talk about these things because there could be that me sitting in the room where I was 10 years ago. Did she just say that? Did she just, did that? Oh, my God, I can't believe she just put that out there like that. Because that is the freeing part, is now because I got that all out, because I've worked through that, because I continue to work on myself, I'm okay with it. I've processed, I've forgiven myself. I've accepted myself. It is my past self, and I don't have regrets. I love my past self now. I didn't even love my past self. I was still judging my past self, mostly because of other people, but now I hug her. Especially when I feel emotional, I know that's my past self, but I love her because she got me to here, to where I'm at today. So, again, I like to just put out my shit because I want to say, if I could do it, you could do it someday. And if anything, especially in the women's meetings, when I really reveal some really heavy stuff, let me tell you, like, someday I'm not going to write a book. I'll never do that. But maybe I'll put some stuff on video. But it's heavy. But I'll put that heavy stuff out there. Why? Because, A, they might want to work with me. But more so, B, it is such an honor to be asked to just, I don't have to sponsor somebody. Somebody wants to sit down with me with the step 5. This is an honor for me. And let me tell you, there's so much stuff in my story. They ain't judging nobody. Right. I'm the last person to judge anybody. Right. Yeah. But I find it just so just such an honor. And I'm so proud when someone goes through a step 5, because I know how much it takes. And again, it's hard to be quiet, but I know that's important too, to let them let it out. But because I want to say, continue. I'm not judging you. Keep going. I love you. Right, this is great. And I almost want to say, oh, that's you worried about you did that? Oh, girl, you don't even know. Right. Let me tell you. I'm just going to add on top of it, right. But I never want to, minimize whatever happened. But just if they had any idea, right. Don't ask. Okay. Oh, we got some more interactions. Okay, let's see. Ooh, lots of them. Martin said, solo recovery is dangerous. Reach out 100%.
Absolutely.
Facebook user says, Martin, Amen Bridge. Telling your own self the secret that you haven't wanted to tell yourself in the 5th step. That's part of the healing of the forgiveness of the secrets. And what's great is in the big book, there's a key question where you're looking at the other side, which was beneficial later. Once I really got through at least the steps once with Back to Basics, right? But thanks to my wonderful, fantastic sponsor and Women's Way, because of Women's Way, they allowed me to not have to go through that stuff that triggered trauma, okay? Especially, I love Jason, shout out, Jason B. Even the Back to Basics though, but as a female, and I know males have, can have a rough childhood too. But as a female and having a adopted dad as a rageaholic, anything would set him off. So especially around males, a tone of voice, a certain comment, a gesture, I mean, that could totally set me into a trauma state, a triggered state. So like understanding that, again, it's really crucial. I feel like it is important for female to be with female and male to be with male.
Oh, yeah.
At least initially. Or you could do what I did, is have two. So I had my female sponsor for my female stuffs, but I did find it beneficial to have my male sponsor because he did kind of keep it simple again. But I felt safer and, without even knowing it, certain meetings I went to, men would discuss their experiences and I just would hear so much judgment. Because let's be honest, sex inventory, Mike, fuck that. It's just definitely double standard there, okay?
Sure. Yeah.
And intimacy, I'm on the other coin of that. Like, just the way I grew up, I didn't grow up in a loving home. I didn't understand what love was. Intimacy to me was sex, okay? I still working with a therapist on that, okay? I never understood the concept that those were separate, things. I mean, it's nice when they can come together. I thought they were separate things. Right, yeah. They're supposed to be together. Right. That's never been like that for me, Mike.
Nope,
okay?
nope.
So, but it's crucial that this program, I took these steps and I made them work for me, right? And I think a good sponsor is going to, yes, share their what worked for them, but be completely fucking open, for H.O.W, how it might not work for your sponsee, right? We're walking with them, okay? I'm not pulling you, I'm not pushing you, we're gonna do this together. And I find I learned so much more with that open piece, just listening to their insights, their individual path. And again, it's helped me get on a whole other level. Okay, sorry. Mike, we're going to get right into the Women's Way, a.k.a. The workbook, hot seat. I just wanted to touch on this because I thought it'd be cool for us to both share. Sure. And then we're going to do our last segment, the hot seat. Okay. One thing I liked, it said, think about who in your life possesses those qualities that are crucial to. So again, you do not have to there's no rules. I don't like people that go around saying, this is the rule. Oh, you're not supposed to do that. Oh, really? Where is that written in the big book? Right. Sit down. Okay? Right. So I call them the unwritten rules. I've had so many people tell me, no, you're not supposed to. Well, guess what? There wasn't even fucking sponsors, okay? Yeah, right. This is shush up. Yeah. So, okay, but anyway, I'm sorry. So it says, if you're in the workbook, page 42, it's important to use care in choosing the person to whom we will tell our stories. Some qualities to look for in this person can include an understanding of what you're trying to accomplish in step 5, respect for your privacy and confidential. That's huge. Oh, yeah. I mean, that's trust right there. Yeah, right. The ability to listen attentively, the ability to be emotionally present when you express fear, pain, tears, or laughter, openness to you as a person, and the ability to hear what you say without being personally hurt by it or defensive, And I think one thing that stands out to me, and you can let me know if any of those stand out to you too, but I think respect for your privacy. Okay, so here's common sense, right? I mean, I didn't have common sense back then, Mike. Okay?
We'll lay it down.
Oh, jeez. But if you're a person, this is not, okay, I've had 3 sponsors previous to Marcy, okay? My sponsor. If they're talking shit about other females or other people, that's a red fucking flag. You don't think they're going to talk about you as soon as you get out of the room, okay? Yep. If you at all feel hesitant, okay, that's when I chimed in, tapped into other people, like my therapist. That kind of just happened like on a good flow because we were already digging into my trauma, and I was able to. There was once that was such a reprieve. I didn't need to go reveal that to my sponsor. She asked me, I'll tell her, that's not gonna hide it or anything, but like I needed that reprieve. And when I find that, especially working with sponsees again, if some of that stuff crops back up, it's okay to redo it again. Some of those, like I looked at those old lists that I had, I did it where I could do it in a safe space, that I could handle it. Now I can dig deeper. Now I'm really getting into my psyche back then. I can look back at myself as almost, I am a separate, like a different person almost. I am a completely different person.
Not almost. You are.
Yes. I mean, it's still me, Bridge,
Right.
but like I am
Physically.
completely different. Yeah. Psychic change. Okay. So
the
here's a
inside
question
out.
for you, Mike. So you may decide to share different parts of your story with different people. So if you choose to do this, first ask yourself, am I telling different people in order to leave some of my parts of my story out? Okay, one of the best questions to ask someone after a step 5, after there's been a good amount of time, space. Now, what did you leave off your step 5?
Right.
I know when someone asked me that, I was like, oh, shit. All right.
Right.
You really want to know? Okay. Another one is, am I telling different people because I believe there's no one who can hear my whole story and still accept me? That's a good question.
Right.
And mostly, I think as a female, and I think this is actually, no, this is male or female, I still struggle with this, Mike. I don't want to be a burden to anybody. I want to do it myself.
Right.
You're just like that.
Yeah.
I don't want to burden anybody because I felt like a burden my whole life.
Right.
I don't want to ever push these people that I love and I know love me unconditionally. I don't want to become that burden that they will push me away, So there's a fear of abandonment. We talked about that the week before.
Right. Yeah.
So big things, and that's why it is important. And it's okay to change sponsors. Okay, that's another one of those unwritten rules. Oh, you can't have multiple sponsors. Fuck that. I'm telling you right now, you can't have multiple sponsors.
Agreed.
And really it's all in who you talk to. Okay, if you don't agree and you're not connecting, it is totally okay. It's not going to work if you don't feel that,
Right. Yeah.
that connection, that true connection. And I always tell my sponsees, have more sponsors. You can have a support sponsor, you can have accountability sponsor, whatever you want to label it.
Right,
Just go for it. But just keep me in your circle, wherever you want to put the label on me. But I encourage it. For me, it's building that recovery family. Okay, you ready?
Yep.
Oh, okay. Let's see. Oh, gotta keep tabs on this. Okay, telling your sorry. It's called healing. To be validated to oneself and still be loved. Yeah. And Martin says, when you get through step 5, you experience love that's out of those world, a gap, love from God, guide of direction, the creator, the universe. But absolutely. And see, here's the thing is, I knew my higher power. No, I don't even have to say nothing. I knew my higher power knows what's really going on in my psyche. And especially, I've read the Bible. I grew up with the Bible, some stories and all that. Okay. I went to Bible school. Okay. I'm not anti anything. But just go back to, we are all God's children, right? Okay.
Yeah.
As a parent, there's nothing my child could do that I would ever damn them to eternal burning misery. Right? So if that concept is true, we are all, God's children. As a parent, I was just listening to this great podcast. This guy, I was almost going to share a clip. I'll do it next week. He's talking about that's unconditional love with your, my higher power. We're all the children's unconditional love. There's no wrong. And he said if his daughter could come to him and say, "Dad, I murdered someone," he'd be like, "All right, where are we going to hide the body?" Right? So that's reality. And when you can find that with outside people, like my sponsor, and now I have I could say 10 people right now that I could go there. I mean, I do reveal my shit, but there's still icky stuff. It's not comfortable, but I would be free to dig into exploring that. That's why I've been really kind of, side note quick, Recovery Dharma is so awesome because they have this whole thing, inquiries, okay, aka inventory, but you don't have to sit down one-on-one with somebody, okay? You can sit down with a little group of 3 or more, whatever, of wise friends and do that. I actually want to participate. I'm planning something, Mike.
Okay.
But I think it would be great to at least do one session with a little group of people. They're friends you consider wise friends.
Right.
Because it would be great to get that back and forth, because it was beneficial to do with my therapist. It was beneficial to do with my sponsor. However, as the person on the other side, I have to be, it's crucial to be quiet and just listen. I'm over that though now. I want the chime-ins. I want the feedback,
Yeah.
It's nice to get that perception. And when my sponsor told me, Bridge, these people were your abusers. You owe them nothing. This we don't have to go through this right now. And Women's Way tells you if you're not ready, it's okay. Do what you are ready and willing and open to do. That's okay. We can always come back.
Right.
Okay, Mike, what time is it? Oh, good. We got 2 more minutes before the fun meme time. Thank you, by the way. Half of the memes, at least, or probably more, are you. Yes. So any final thoughts? Step 5. I think one thing that is important people know that is if you did some criminal shit, okay?
Right.
Or if you're in the midst of a divorce, court stuff, watch yourself, okay? That's why there's clergymen. That's why there are people that aren't required by law, mandated reporters, okay? But are going to keep your stuff. And I do warn my sponsees, if there's something that you are worried that could like you murdered somebody, that's something you do need to process, but we're going to find that person that you can. Because honestly, I don't know. I know I've heard stories where the sponsor couldn't work with them anymore. It was just too bad. It was too much. We are only humans.
Right.
Okay?
Yeah.
So, okay. Sorry, go ahead, Mike. And then next section.
Yeah, just a quick thought on that too is like, the multiple sponsor thing. Like, I totally think that that's a good idea too, right? Especially if you're just getting to know people. And the thing is, even on the sponsor side of it too, like, I mean, there has to be a ridiculous amount of awareness to somebody that's going to be sharing that stuff with you, how present you need to be, how empathetic you need to be. Like, that's kind of some things when people jump into sponsorship super early, like, great, bravo, but make sure you've got your shit together, because if somebody's going to make this giant leap of faith to unload these secrets and the shame and stuff, you got to make sure that you're there for them, right? You're not just filling time or whatever, but there's a little deal in here too, and it's, shame lives in your secrets, and your secrets keep you sick. Step 5 is about ending the secrets of your life.
Yes.
Right? But that was the thing too. You're talking about multiple sponsors and stuff. It just kind of hit me when you were talking about that. Like, at this point now that I've gone through that 5th step a couple of times and gotten so much stuff out and like connected with people that way, is like I basically look like everybody in the room is a sponsor to some extent, right? Like, because you can go in and you can say stuff that's on your mind, and hopefully they're gonna call you on your BS, or they're gonna at least give you a different perspective, right? Because obviously, first thought wrong, and my own stinking thinking and whatnot. So like at this point, it's like there's no more shameful secrets. I'm not doing things that create those shames and those guilts anymore, So like at this point, like it's the freedom of it, right? Going through that process, finding somebody to have a leap of faith and share that stuff with them, and then you gain that acceptance from them and that validity. Like, hey, I am worthwhile. My shit isn't all that messed up, Like other people have done some pretty messed up stuff too, right?
Yes.
Like, yeah, I mean, don't sit in the comparisons or whatever, less than or better than or whatever. But like the thing is, when you get that from one person, then it enables you that confidence and that self-worth, right? To where you can actually be open and share with people, like-minded people that are just trying to get better too. And like you were saying, absolutely, like, don't hold that stuff back, because there might be somebody sitting over in the corner or sitting in the back row or something that they just don't want to share a damn thing because, yeah, they haven't heard anybody that had it as bad as them, or, that didn't kind of have the same train of thought, or they just weren't connecting with somebody. But, once we get out of our own way and we put that shame away and we realize that the things we have done can help somebody else.
Yeah, it's empowering.
Right. You're obligated to put it out there, and you don't have to do it with any embarrassment or anything anymore, though, right? So,
yes.
yeah.
Well, and I think the most important thing for me was I didn't feel alone anymore.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Oh, the other thing, too, off of what you just said, is I tell on myself, Mike.
Yeah.
I do it all the time.
We have to.
Especially in the meetings. I'll be like, all right, I tell on myself.
Yeah.
So this is what happened. And here's what's great is I like the meetings where there's like, because there's guidelines in meetings. Every meeting's different, all the different guidelines. I like the ones where they say, what is it, when you don't go back and forth or you don't interrupt. Cross-talking. So, sorry. You see my face?
You got a resentment towards that?
No cross-talking. I hate that.
Right, yeah.
I mean, at least until the end. At least until we go around. Right. But here's the thing. And I find it, it's beautiful. I think most human beings, I hear some of the stuff I reveal, it's out of compassion and it's out of caring and whatever. It's no cross-talking, though. Yeah. I'm saying this shit because I need to get it out. Yeah. I don't want to, 9 times out of 10, there's all recovery meetings, and it's great because they specifically ask you, are you open to feedback?
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
And what's wonderful is most times I'm like, and no feedback, which means no cross-eyed, don't want to hear nothing.
Save your shit.
Okay? Because I'm saying this, I think for me, especially when people are sharing stuff, like, I'm telling on myself, I'm having these thoughts, I'm getting them out of my head. It doesn't mean I'm going to go do this thing or say this thing or whatever.
Yeah.
Or I just did something, especially my bad boss group, I have mob guilt all over the time. But I don't want it to turn into shame, right?
Right.
So that's why I tell on myself. And that means also no feedback.
Right.
Okay? Because I got it out there.
Yeah.
But it's cute. And I will stick around after the meeting. Most of the time I have to. But that's the moment you can come up and I get the hugs. And sometimes I'm like, oh, man, I see I just told them.
Right.
Now they're all worried about me. I'm okay. But I'm in a dark place. Now I feel better.
Yeah, that's absolutely. I can't stand the crosstalk, and especially like the thing is, if you're sharing your experience, right? And if somebody can take something from it, great. But like I've been in meetings too where like somebody will share their experience. Like there was one men's meeting in particular I'll never go back to because there's a couple of guys that were brand new in there and they shared a little bit, and we went around the table and pretty much every guy that shared in there afterwards spoke directly at these two individuals, told them they need to do this, they need to do that, they need to do. I was only about 6 months sober at the time, but I was like, if I was either one of those two guys, I would have felt so fucking attacked.
Yes.
I don't know if I would have had the courage to go back to another meeting altogether, let alone that one, right?
Exactly.
And the thing is, like you're saying, it's perfect too, though. If you're sharing what's on your mind, you need to get what's on your mind out and share that. Save it for the end of the. If you've got a burning desire to tell somebody something about what they said, save it to the end of the meeting, because at least that way you're aware of that. Like they have an escape plan. If you're telling them something they don't want to hear, they can say, "I'll see you later. I got to go." Right?
Yes.
The meeting's over. They're not obligated to sit there any longer. But
But be ready.
right. But if you're holding somebody hostage while the meeting's still going on, you're going to talk
front of
directly at
everybody.
them. Right. Yeah. No. Save that stuff. Like. I think some of that comes out of that ego or self-importance too, though. Like, I got something I gotta tell you right now. I'm gonna hold the meeting hostage.
Another great guideline. I statements, motherfuckers. I statements. Don't be, this is what I did. This was my experience. It's so important. Like, I didn't understand that. So much stuff I didn't understand. But I statements, that's rude. Like, I would say when we and you, but that was me reaching because I didn't want to feel alone, right? So, newcomers, I never call them out on that.
Right.
But especially when you've been around, for a long motherfucking time, you say I. Because there's so many times that especially people say stuff and they're we and you and they've been around 10 years. Don't include me in your we. You're talking for yourself there, buddy. So not us. Okay?
You got a mouse in your pocket, right? The
You're right. Okay, now we're going to take off the comments for a minute. We're going to get to the keep commenting because we'll check right when we come back. But I definitely want to get to the beams.
That enthusiasm.
Oops. Sorry.
Wee shit.
What? Oh man, I had the wrong banner going. My bad. Okay. Taking the jeez. Okay, and what was the other there was one other thing. It'll come to me later. People just okay, the escape plan. So here's the thing, Mike. Yes, there's many times, especially a newcomer, that they share something and I'm like, oh, my heart goes out to them. And that's why I stay after the meetings no matter what. I try to get there early. That happens too, but most time I try to stay. Here's the thing, though. I was that newcomer for many years. I dipped the fuck out, okay? I didn't even talk for a long time. But then I started to talk, But I dipped out. I didn't want to hear no. I wasn't ready. I wasn't ready. But at least I started making those little steps. But yeah, if you bombard somebody or block the door, that's a problem. But if they stick around, yes. And most of the time, Mike, I see them in my peripherals. I hope they come over to me. I don't want to go approach them, especially if they're just, feeling whatever certain way. I will approach them though. Yeah. But I like to just read people and let it be organic as much as possible.
Be present, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're absolutely saying. I went to the meetings for a while. I didn't want to talk to anybody. I sure as hell didn't want anybody to tell me anything. It wasn't until I decided I needed to get better that I was willing to go and ask for some help.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yes, and you gotta meet people where they're at, and not just stomp all over them until never come back.
That's what you need to do. Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Oh, don't look at it yet. Hold on. The sound effects. Hold on. Oh, I love this one because go ahead and describe it. Don't say anything about the words. It's so peaceful looking.
It's kind of dark.
Looks like an inspirational quote, maybe.
Yeah, it looks like one of those
Describe it.
Inspirational ones. It's like a little trail in the woods. Nice little like green plants and foliage on either side of it, and big trees and whatnot. And, want me to read it now?
Nope.
Nope.
Wait for the
not
sound
yet.
effect.
Oh, there's a sound effect.
This is important to the sound effects, Okay, here we go. Sound effect time. Hopefully it works. Oh, I got the Bluetooth on. Okay, go ahead and read it. We'll get to the sound effect in a minute.
So yeah, it's just a nice little scene like you'd want to go on a hike or a walk in, and it says the only person you can truly rely on is you. And then, what a fucking nightmare.
What a fucking nightmare! Mike, when you said this to me, I was like, what? I gotta read that again.
Right.
I was expecting some like deep inspirational.
Yeah,
Oh, the only person you could truly rely on is you. And I was like, this is true. And then I read, what a fucking nightmare. Oh my gosh, that's very true.
Yeah.
You know?
That would have me rolling.
Oh, but those are my favorite. I actually have one at home, a poster.
Yeah.
It's a tree, and I can't remember what it says. I'm gonna take a picture. I'll bring it next week.
Yeah.
It's hilarious because so many people I get people with that. It's just like, wait, what does that say? Oh, here we go. Gotta get the. Okay. Yes,
That one.
it's official. That was just the intro meme anyway.
Yeah.
Now it's
Yeah,
legit.
right.
Here we
That
go.
was just a warm-up one there.
Okay, I'm going to move the screen closer to you. So, listeners, if you're listening, this is our last session here. Oh, Mike, we got 6 minutes. We can do it. Okay, we're just live Facebook memes. We're memes for the week. Half of them are from Mike. Thank you, Mike. And we're just going to go back and forth. You know, it's nice to share the joy and hilariousness. Oh, this is you again. Okay, describe that picture. It's a person in a tie, the suit, dark suit, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know who the actor is, but yeah.
I don't know
he's
either. But
he's
it
in
looks a little dark and dreary.
Right, black suit, looking very serious face, and he's got his hands down to his side with his hands open, palms out or whatever.
Those are willing hands.
Yeah.
DBT, that's how we do it. Willing hands.
Okay. But so it says me when it's above 60 degrees outside, and then the picture, the dialogue on the guy is saying, "I am no longer mentally ill."
Now what?
That's perfect for today too.
Yes.
Needed that
This was
sunshine
beautiful for today.
Yeah.
Mike, look what I'm wearing, Mike. I'm wearing 2 shirts. This is overlay, but this is my looser shirt. It's not a heavy flannel. It still looks flannel.
I
still got the pants.
30 layers.
I have my sandals on though.
Yeah.
I'm not ready. I'm not ready.
I was embracing the barefoot today for sure.
Okay, next one. Need number 2. Oh
Use
my
this
god.
one.
Yes. There's a freaky looking dude there. Could be male or female. Actually, it just looks scary. He's creeping. That's the creep eyes. What does it say, Mike?
Right. Yeah, real creepy looking cartoon guy here, and it says the look girls get from the treatment center dudes at their first outside meeting.
Oh my gosh. Newcomers, beware. Step 13. And this goes both ways, mind you. But it's gross, Mike.
Right.
Oh my god. That's why I never even looked at people. Especially. Go ahead. No, you got something to say.
Well, I saved that one to send it to my sponsee because he was talking about his sober living, and there's a guy in there in particular that like he only wants to go to meetings where there's going to be women at. It's like,
yes.
come on, man.
And that does go both ways.
Yeah.
Honestly, because I'll see the females that come in all fucking dressed up, especially on a Friday night. I'm like, come on now. Like, go to the after, whatever. But, no judgments. But seriously. But, and, 13th step, I'll when it's newcomer to newcomer. You both out of tree, but that's a different story. Okay?
Right.
That's not the same thing. Now, these motherfuckers that know what they're doing.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
They've been in the program. They probably didn't even go through the steps yet.
Right.
They probably don't know shit.
Yep.
But they got some time and they got some confidence. They got some little friends. And they pray. They pray. That's messed up. I will fight someone over that shit.
Right.
Okay. Here's the other thing, though. There's the worst kind, step 13 person that actually takes and manipulates, and it says male or female, but they know exactly what they're doing. They know they tap into that. They're sharing some stuff. You feel for them. You have this, especially caretakers, especially people that have been pleasers, and they just want to be there for you, and they're trying to help you out, but they know what they're doing, They know what they're doing, and they start to make you feel like you owe them something. That's a red flag.
Yeah.
Ladies, gentlemen. If you feel like you owe, and you're new in recovery, and you're trying to do these things, you feel guilty like you owe, you should never feel guilty in this recovery process.
No.
You already got your own shit.
Right.
So that's the worst kind. If you feel like, oh man, I should do this because they took me to dinner, or they bought me a book, or they're helping me do this, then that's exactly why I say female to female, male to male. It just kind of helps take that out, right? For the most part. But again, that's why I encourage multiple sponsors. You're getting multiple perspectives, because when I work with my sponsees and I hear stuff, I'm like, ooh, let's talk about now. Who is this person you're getting help from? Let's talk about that. I don't call them out, because as soon as they say, "Oh, that's a 13 separate," they're gonna go right to them.
Right.
But let's talk about this.
Right.
Oh, that person helped you with your car. That's so nice. And now what? Okay, I try to help them come to that Because I learned the hard way, and I don't want to learn the hard way.
Right.
But sometimes, like me, I'm hard-headed. I just got to learn the hard way.
Right.
Okay.
There's only one way for me to
It's
learn.
a billboard sign. And what does it say?
Oh, yeah, I like that, too. Getting no message is also a message.
Yeah.
A loud message, too. Yeah.
And, I mean, I've been on both ends. Okay. I love to just not even respond. For me, it's just my head held high. I don't know how to defend myself. B, on the other side of it, recently, my feelings. I put my shit all out there, you know. I'm honest and open, and he's just not that into you. That's what it is. What? I'm amazing. Fine. And that's all right though. I mean, actions speak louder than words, especially when there's no motherfucking words. Okay, that's me. Oh, just words. What is it say?
Yeah. This one's perfect for us overthinkers, right?
Definitely thought of you, Mike.
All right, yeah. So it says, y'all ever wonder what life would be like if you didn't overthink everything? And I think about it all the time.
I think about it all the time.
Yep.
It just speaks for itself. That's
Oh,
brilliant.
yeah.
It's beautiful.
Oh, yeah. Right.
Okay. You
Yeah.
recognize that character?
Right.
He-Man?
It's Skeletor, right?
Skeletor?
Right, yeah.
You know it's a good beat when it's got Skeletor on it.
Mm,
And he's
yeah.
ironing. Okay. What does it say?
Yeah, so it's Skeletor. He's ironing his, I don't know, uniform or bib thing there, whatever that is. But, yeah, it says when you're dead inside, but highly functional. Right.
Legit.
Yeah, spiritually bankrupt, but still getting things done.
Yep.
Right.
And honestly, I found that I learned about myself. That is a coping mechanism, actually. Mine is a distraction. So I find comfort in chores. It's very weird and random. But if you find, now I have a roommate. I had a couple. It's good to have that outside perspective. Because they're like, wow, everything looks so clean and organized. And you're still, now you're organizing the hall closets and the shoe bin. You're scrubbing out the shoe bin. Bridge, what's going on? What's going on with you?
Yeah.
I got in the zone for a reason.
Yeah. Guilty as well. Oh, yeah. Sometimes I'm not feeling good about myself or whatever. And I'm just going to be busy doing shit. Like, it doesn't matter what it is, but I'm going to be doing something.
Yep, yard. Well, winter, see, I normally could distracted to go out and do yard,
Right,
garage,
yeah.
but when
Winter's
winter,
tough.
I'm cleaning out the shoe bin.
Right.
My bestie Sarah, she's so smart. She's like, I was thinking we should start having tea time. I'm like, oh, I like tea time. I've been wanting to get a tea. And then I realized over a couple sessions, tea time is, she's checking in with me, Mike.
Oh.
She's making sure my mental health is okay.
Where you at, Bridge? Let's
Fucking
have some
brilliant.
tea.
Yeah.
I love that.
I finally said to her, I don't really like tea. But if we could change it to smoothie time, I'm good.
Yeah, I'm in.
Okay. It's a weird looking cat.
Oh, these are the good ones too. So it's a cat. I don't know. It always looks like it's dead, right? Like it's probably on its back. Its mouth's open. Its eyes are kind of just.
It's on its way out.
Yeah, it looks like it's having a rough time, and it says, me after interacting with people for 5 minutes.
Oh my gosh.
Right.
Some days it's those days, especially close to a full moon, right?
Yeah,
you know
in
the power of the moon.
retrograde.
Yep.
Yeah, we got a lot going on. There's an eclipse.
It can be very emotionally draining,
Yeah, I feel it.
Oh, even after leaving this podcast. It's my show, Mike. I'm feeling whatever I want. I'm not getting I'm the one asking the questions. I still feel emotionally exhausted.
Right, yeah.
But in a good way. It's a detox for me.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
Well, it's growth too, right? Like,
Absolutely.
We're worn out, like we're just getting stronger.
3 more.
It's kind of hard to see. Is he bleeding?
Yeah.
All right, there's a guy. Looks like he's got some blood on his hands there. Is he in a prison
Maybe.
t-shirt there?
Yeah.
And it says, honesty is an expensive gift, so don't expect it from cheap people.
Cheap
Right.
people.
Right, yeah.
Boom.
Mm-hmm.
That's heavy and that's true. And like,
Right.
just gauge in how people talk about other people,
Mm-hmm.
how people treat other people, especially now there's the triple whammy it. They're talking shit about somebody. They're talking about what they did to somebody,
Right. Yeah.
and they're talking about the other person's. If it's all bad things, yeah, that might not be a person you want to be honest with. Okay,
Right.
at least about your shit. Now I've been honest with them about their shit. When it's welcomed.
Right.
Well, for the most part.
Yeah.
Now I've had to call some people out, but that's because I'm protecting my ladies.
Sure.
Okay. 2 more. Oh, I love this one.
I laughed so hard when I first saw this one. Yes. So it's a lady and a dog with kind of almost a little guilty look on the dog's face, right?
Yep.
And so she's saying to him, to the dog, the neighbor tells me you've been chasing people on a motorcycle. And then the dog's response is, he's lying. I don't even have a motorcycle.
That's so cute. Shout out to my old roommate and Todd. Her dog's name was Todd. He's fantastic, 16-year-old. I mean, he's just got the spirit. He's amazing. And he's a little guy.
Yeah.
And he just would chase the trucks, the mailmans. Like, Todd, you're not going to do nothing, you know? It's hilarious. And now I got Artemis. She's a 7-month-old black lab. She's big.
Oh, yeah.
You know, but she looks scary. She's only 7 months old. She's a puppy.
Yeah.
Oh, man, she scares the shit out of people. She don't even do nothing. Okay, last me, Mike, and we're going to wrap it up.
Yeah.
This is my favorite.
Yeah, this is huge. I mean, we were just talking about that validation earlier, right? And getting it from other people. But, like, to start this program, I think we do need some validation from other people, right? To start believing in ourselves.
The right people.
Right. But that's where we start down this path, and we embolden ourselves in the process. So, yeah, you glow differently when your confidence is fueled by belief in yourself instead of validation from others. Absolutely. And the thing is, too, if your confidence is based on validation from others, it's fleeting. It's going to be easily damaged. It's going to be hard to hold on to, right? It's got to come from belief in yourself. I love that one.
Well, and I didn't even understand the power of that. You know, I would seek validation from my teachers, from my bosses, you know. Yeah. And I got to read it again because of the bold. I'm just going to read it slower. Ready? You glow differently when your confidence is fueled by belief in yourself instead of validation from others. You know, this is from Mastering Laws of Attraction. So I like to get these big things, but here's why I like to share them, Mike, in our recovery community. This is easier said than done. Okay?
No doubt.
Us in recovery, me in recovery, it took me a long time to even get to this point, to even begin to have any belief in myself, let alone validation from others. I was such at a dark point that I was so isolated and in my own world. I wasn't seeking validation from anybody. I didn't want anything from anybody. And damned if I ever could believe in myself. I didn't even know myself. So I would love to sit down one of these days, or one of these, maybe the next week, you know, just list out, because a lot of these little inspirational or think about quotes, they're not even tapping into anybody in recovery. They did not speak to me, let me tell you. I wasn't even near there. So listing out these things, well, belief in myself. Okay, well, how about, let's start with, how the fuck do I even forgive myself? I hate myself. You want me to believe in myself?
There's a long ways to go before we start believing.
Validation from others, like, I don't have others. I scared all the others away. I pushed them all away, you know. So yeah, but that's why I like to share these, because it allows us to have that space, to have that conversation of, especially if someone's listening and is like, that is the stupidest quote ever. I feel ya. I'm just saying, like, it took me a long time, you know, 17 years in and out of the rooms, in and out of attempting recovery. It's been only 3 years, Mike, but I could not get over the 18-month hump. I got over it twice. I could never get the 2 years. So to sit here at 3 years means I'm doing something right, and I still feel fresh. I still feel new into it. You know what I mean? So I feel like just talking about where I could still remember clearly where I was at, you know, and just putting it out there, like, I am far from perfect, and I never want to be perfect. In fact, I thrive on my imperfections. I like being awkward most times.
Our quirks, our weirdness, our creativity.
Because I feel like if a person is connected to me and wants to be a part of my life through my awkward, weird, emotional,
That's you.
Weird, awkward ugliness, that means they're genuine.
Put ugliness out of there. There's no ugliness in there.
Well, I'm dressed up today, Mike. Okay. When I did that solo reflection, you wouldn't recognize me. But that's just because I felt inside, I felt kind of ugly, you know? And actually, when I say ugly, it's because inside, you know, I'm dealing with some stuff. So it's ugly. It doesn't mean I'm an ugly person. I'm human, you know? But it's getting ugly because I'm not processing it. I'm not dealing with it. And I had to reach out to my sponsor last week. She stayed with me and did almost 2 hours, Mike.
Nice. Good.
I mean, it was a good back and forth conversation.
Well,
you know, we both had our shit.
Well,
But
way, yeah.
the ugliness crops up if I don't handle it. Okay, then I started cleaning out shoe bin and the baseboards. Why are you washing the baseboards?
Scrubbing the paint right off the walls. You know? Stop cleaning
Tea
up.
time, Bridge.
Yeah, right.
Oh, God, what kind of tea are we talking about now? Okay, everybody. Well, thank you, Mike, so
Thank
much.
you.
This is
Thank
one of
you.
those evenings that I look forward to.
Me
You know,
too.
it's monthly, something to
Well,
count on,
right.
and I love talking about the stamps. Not everybody wants to talk about them. I love talking about them.
You got to talk about them.
Yeah, we gotta break 'em
Kind of
down.
a part of the program,
Absolutely.
whether we like it or not.
Absolutely. So I can count on you. I feel like that. And here's me. Oh, mean girl is like, he's gonna flake on your bridge. I went out to the parking lot. Oh, don't pick up. I knew it. And there you are on your motorcycle.
Button in on the motorbike.
Yeah. So, well, everybody, I hope you have a great rest of your week. We got through the full moon and retrograde and all that craziness.
Right.
But yeah, I'll check in with you next week, and that's a wrap.
Yeah. The only way out is through, right?
Absolutely.
We only got till the 14th till we're done with this retrograde thing too. I think so.
Oh, don't tell me that. I'm already through it, Mike.
Okay.
That's the wrap.
You've already processed it. All right.
I'm done. No
I'm
more.
still working on it.
Okay. Time for the going home music.